What's up? This is Vanessa with Double XL for our Moments of Clarity podcast. We got Rahman, we got Shaheem, we got special guest Lecrae, and let's get to it. What's up, everybody?
What's going on? We're still trying to recover from the Brandy versus Monica versus. I had a good time watching it, and it took me back to a place a young S. Reid, playing them songs for the girls, trying to scoop the girls, having some nice success. It was fun. Did any of y'all watch it?
Yeah, I read about it on Twitter. I missed it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was all in the comments cracking jokes, being silly, you know what I'm saying? I had $12 on Monica, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to, hold it down for the ATL, Mo.
So who won? Did somebody win? Does anybody win? What happened?
It's people's choice.
People's choice, right.
Yeah, they don't do the winners and losers anymore. It's just a preference. It's the best part really is it's phenomenal to see everybody play their music and everything, but some of my most favorite parts is just talking to my friends and family at the end of the verses, be like, yo, remember when such and such did this? And then the verses is something you got to go to Twitter. Like Instagram is cool, but the Twitter memes are on fire.
Totally.
Oh my God. I sat there for like a good hour looking through all of the memes, and then they had it was just so much trending last night. Ashanti was trending because somebody said they wanted to see her versus J-Lo, and they had some funny memes about that. And I just say, man, we got some genius minds, some genius comedic minds in the culture.
I love it. I love just us appreciating, oftentimes like, rock and roll has an appreciation of like the history of the music, and like our history gets kind of washed away. So, to see hip hop and R&B history still be, folks treating these people, giving them they roses while they still here. I heard LL trying to do one. I heard he want to go against Jay. So, you know what I mean? I don't know about that, but
he got to go against Kane.
Okay.
Kane and Rakim going against each other. Kane and Rakim.
Yeah, it could be all three of them. Kane, LL, KRS. It could be all of them. You know what I'm saying? But forget about Jay. It should be. I mean, come on now. You know what time it was. It was LL and then it was Kane, like right at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody can go.
Kane got enough for LL. I love Kane and I respect him, but I don't know if he got enough for LL. LL got 20.
Yeah, he got longevity.
Hits. Kane got hits, but I'm talking about LL got like joints that just transcended hip hop culture. It just big major pop hits. You know what I'm saying?
LL and Busta. That might be a thing.
Yeah. That's something I've been hearing about. That's definitely what I've been hearing about. I like it. LL, he just, he needs somebody that's, I think Busta's a good matchup for him because Busta's versatile. Because LL, when you go against him, you need somebody that's going to be party joints, hard joints, and joints for females.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. We get a good mix on this new album, though.
Oh yeah, I had to do it all. You know what I'm saying? I'm inspired by people like LL. You know what I mean? Everybody gets something. I'm gonna give you the raw, uncut hip hop. I'm gonna give you the current party joints, the turn up to get workout joints. I'm gonna give you something for the ladies. You know what I mean? But then I get to take you to church too. You know what I mean? Everybody can't do that either. So you know what I mean? I get all the categories.
Yeah, I want to definitely ask about some of the collaborations. Kirk Franklin, we know that y'all got such a let me pull up the song too. Kirk Franklin, we know that y'all have such a really close relationship, and y'all team up on the aptly titled Sunday Morning.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Kirk this time around? Like now he's like your friend, he's like your big brother.
Yeah. Nah, that's the big bro. I mean, honestly, like you got to remember, as far as I'm concerned, there's never been anybody else in my shoes who kind of walks in all the world. I mean, there's been people who've done it on a small scale, I guess, so to speak, but like nobody else has walked in both of those worlds like I have outside of Kirk. Like Kirk walks in both worlds really seamlessly. The difference is he comes from gospel and walks in hip hop or mainstream. I come from hip hop and I walk in gospel and you know what I mean? So, but still we meet and understand those two worlds. So so it was dope just getting with him and just, he wanted to do something special and I think he did. Him shouting out, Kobe and Gigi. I was there actually on his birthday. We was in LA and he was like, yo, I'm gonna do a little brunch. And then I got up in the morning and then like Kobe had passed and it was kind of like everything was canceled. So it was crazy, but it was dope working with him.
Yeah, Kirk just seemed like a lot of fun. He had a really dope verses too, and he seemed like a lot of fun. He's an entertainer, and one thing I say about Kirk and a parallel to you is that throughout his career he wasn't afraid to kind of put some of his missteps or mistakes, if you will. He wasn't afraid to put them on front streets. Like when I saw him talking about he was, addicted to pornography at a certain time, and just different things. He said he was having problems with his marriage and everything, and I was like, wow, because we don't really see a lot of that in the from people in the gospel realm, or maybe it's just not as sensationalized for whatever. And we had a conversation when you came on my other show, and you were saying that this album, when you talk about restoration, it was really some real life stuff going on with you.
Big facts.
Yeah.
I think it's dope too to add to what Shah was saying. I grew up in a black church. I grew up in an AME Zion church in New York, like forever, and like my pops was like really big on a lot of gospel music, Kirk Franklin, Donnie McClurkin, like the Clarks, so much, like the lineage goes past so far. And we've been talking to you about this stuff like for years, and I think that it's dope that you're able to bridge the gap because people don't understand sometimes. Like I've sung in choirs like plenty of times, like all through my life. I mean, it ain't nothing that I'm gonna sit here and you ain't gonna see me on Instagram talking about it or whatever. But it's actually real. You know what I'm saying? If you've been to church and your parents was really into church, those are some of the activities that you're into. And people like yourself are the people who make like gospel music cool. I'm not saying you do gospel music, but
I know what you're saying.
How you infuse it into what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? You make it more acceptable. Is that, are those some of the things that you continue to think about, like as you keep like creating these projects, or do you feel like I did the message, now I'm moving on from it? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or how much you continue to put into it?
For me, it's like, man, I just feel like, when people don't know what to do with you, it's almost like, so think about like an athlete who's really fast and they like, yo, you really fast, you need to play, cornerback. And it's like, but I know how to play quarterback. And it's like, yeah, but we ain't never seen a fast quarterback before. So until somebody sees a Lamar Jackson or a Michael Vick, they don't know what to do with them. So for a long time, people just kind of, they say, yo, be a defensive back because we don't know what else to do with you. You can't rap about God, you know what I'm saying? And for me, it was like, look, I don't know much about this defensive back position, this whole gospel world. I didn't grow up in church like that. But clearly y'all like the gifts that I have. And so for me, I feel like I'm the Lamar Jackson. I'm the Michael Vick. I'm the person that allows people to see, oh, snap, quarterbacks be running. They be scrambling, or Randall Cunningham, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, I look at it like, I remember the day I found the Lord. I remember sitting in my car. I was listening to 50 Cent Power of the Dollar, you know what I mean? And I went to a conference that weekend and I heard about Jesus. So, I'm coming from this world and nobody ever told me, yo, now you got to listen to gospel music. So I just was like, well, I'm going to just take what I've been listening to and I'm going to just rap about what feels natural to me. And that's all I've ever tried to do, is just be authentic to who I am.
Did you feel like that ever pigeonholed you at all, or, labeled you in a certain way? And was it a challenge to get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely pigeonholed me, but at the same time, it helped me because nobody had ever seen it before. It was like, they was like, oh yeah, he's this or he's that. And they had titles for me and categories for me, which was fine, because what that did is it made everybody embrace me. The gospel music embraced me, the Christian music embraced me. The hip hop community was a little slower, but after the cipher, the cipher I did, they was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it just was like everybody kind of put their hands on me and embraced me to certain degrees. And yeah, it pigeonholed me more so. I say it pigeonholed me more with hip hop, which is like, that's my first love in my community. But I understood it, because I thought the same thing. You would have never been able to. I'd be like, what is a gospel rapper or a Christian rapper? I'd have looked at you like, you corny. But so I got that, and I just had to keep pushing.
But is that frustrating? You want to be down with hip hop? That's where that's what you want to enter. That's the record industry that you want to thrive and be a part of, and that's the one you had to fight the hardest to get into.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm
saying? Is that anger at hip hop at any level? And be like, I mean, why aren't you recognizing me? Does that come along in any way, or no matter what, you understood the angle where you're coming from was a little bit different? So. I mean, honestly, I would have some anger at some point, but, also maybe a little bit of an angry person. So,
Nah, you know what it was? It was more just like a chip on my shoulder to prove that, it's like when basketball players, it's like, yo, I can play in the league, So it was a chip on my shoulder. It wasn't like anger, like, yo, man, I'm mad at y'all. It was more like, all right, I got y'all. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
that's rev you up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you come out of anyway. When in hip hop. Same thing. It's like a white rapper or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, I'm gonna show y'all. I can do this.
It's like Kobe being drafted number 13.
Facts.
But, a lot of our greats, man. If you look at Jay-Z's story, he had such a hard time, breaking into the game. Just sort of the Rough Riders documentaries, docu-series, I should say, and DMX had a really tough time breaking into the game. So, some of the greats, they always, they have a tough time breaking into the game because, quite frankly, I think hip hop and making music, it might be a little too easy now to break into. I think that's why, you hear some of the criticisms on the music, because it is a little too easy. Like, back in the days, you had to kind of build up yourself, not just as a personality, but you had to have like a certain skill set to be taken seriously in the music. And, it's not like that today. And, we could go on for hours and hours about that. But, it was a little bit better when it was a little bit harder in the industry. We see that in the music.
Yeah, I agree.
You work with Dan Lee. How do I say Dan Lay or Dan Lee?
Dan Lay. Yeah.
I don't want disrespect. I didn't see him with the baby, and I don't want no disrespect.
Yeah.
I think she's actually dope though. Like I've heard her music, and of course, my little baby record was banging, and she got some really great music. How was that? You reaching out to her and the two of you collaborating?
That's the homegirl, for real. Like, that was just like catching lightning in a bottle for real. But it, you know, just being out in LA, working with different people, and ended up, you know, linking up. And that's the cool thing too about what I do, is that, you know, like Ra was saying, folks grow up in church and folks have these backgrounds or whatever, and they just feel like, yo, I respect what you on because it takes courage or whatever, and they just like, yo, I want to rock with you, I want to do some music with you, you know what I'm saying? So for her, it was like that type of a situation. It was like a mutual respect. She just respected where I came from, what I did, and then you know, we had some good friends, some mutual friends, and just linked in, man, and you know, did her thing. She did her thing, and I think it's gonna add to her catalog. I love working with younger artists too, like new artists who are just coming up. Just if it's, you know, to diversify their catalog, you know what I'm saying? So it was a good experience.
The record is called Still. Tell the people what you mean by when you say Still.
Yeah, Still is like, honestly, that was a record to my wife, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it really, in the chorus, is kind of like her saying, man, you know, even though you ain't always the best for me, I'm still rocking with you. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's really a picture of her. You know what I mean? Any artist, traveling, touring artist with somebody who loves them, understands that you know, they terrorizing their significant other in some ways, because they always gone, always on the road, always got priorities. And then, you know, just candidly, and I talk about this in my book, which comes out in October, it's like, you know, I mean, I'm getting invited by Wu-Tang and Anderson .Paak to come to the party. I'm at the party. I'm at Kevin Hart's party. There's all kinds of people, ladies being extra flirtatious, all kinds of situations happening. And you know, it gets to a point where it's like, yo, I gotta hold this woman down for real, and not get caught up in my own self. And so, man, just, you know, shouts out to her for really being a ride or die, a solid one that you know what I'm saying, held me down all over the years. So she's still rocking with me, I'm still rocking with her.
I never forget, I was watching an episode. Well, we was actually there. Me and Rahman, we was there when it was being taped, and LL was on with Nori on Drink Champs, and he was saying that the best way that he kept himself out of trouble through the years was to always have his wife with him. You know, he's like that. He's like, I can't get in trouble if my wife is there. You know, so that might be
I definitely heard that before from a few different rappers. As enough time went by, they get comfortable, you know, having their wife around all the time, and then it seems like it's the safest bet, you know.
Yeah, that's big facts.
And you know what's so real that y'all even saying that. I was listening to the radio maybe last week, I want to say, and I think they had like Fab on. I can't remember. I think it was Fab, and they was just talking about like the perception, like back in the days, like you never heard LL Cool J, who was like one of the biggest sex symbols within hip hop, talk about his wife, or Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? It was always cool. It wasn't cool to be married. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like now the thing nowadays is, it goes back to the notion when people talk about like how hip hop has grown, that like now it's even more acceptable to have a wife and to have a family, you know what I'm saying? Like, and to show stuff like that, which is really important to these kids and what's going on now, which kind of leads me to the next thing I really wanted to, you know, pose to you, which is, you know, there's been so many conversations, like we've covered like the social justice and all these other different movements. And obviously like we're going to a very critical time within the next 2 months, you know, which people have been like, where are our leaders? You know what I'm saying? Especially like the Black community, like where are our leaders? Who are our leaders? And what I've always said, me and Shai have always talked about, and we've talked a lot about on this platform where Vanessa has been like, the people who hold the microphone are the people who have the voice. And you guys are no different than the civil rights leaders. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, these artists are the ones with the mics. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones with the voice. Again, going back to it, growing up in a church, like some of the biggest people and the most profound, respected individuals is pastors, is people who's been in churches and stuff like that, who gets in front of like these different congregations. Do how do you see yourself like right now, like within this time? Because I know you're doing a bunch of different efforts that we definitely going to get into, but how do you see yourself fitting within these times, and how important is your music to resonate with the audience right now more than ever, considering these times?
I feel like you know, when people say, where's the leaders? The leaders are there. It's just that we live in a cancel culture too. So if you got a mic, the people can cancel you as quick as you pick the microphone up too. So nowadays you can't hide nothing. So like Martin Luther King, if it was 2020, they would have canceled that man because of his, you know, his life outside of what he was doing, you know, and I think that's sad, because there's no perfect people out here. So you got Tamika Mallory's and Sean King's that people have problems with for different reasons, but they really out here trying to make a difference and do some work. As far as I'm concerned, I look at myself like I'm probably one of the most visible activists that is not, that is like representing the church for real. Because there's a lot of times people are like, where the church at? And I'm like, yo, I'm here, so the church here. How about that? So for me, I feel like the civil rights movement, you know, that was a church-led organization. And I feel like, you know, when we don't face oppression, we get fat, we get lazy. And I think in a lot of ways, people don't trust organized religion, which I understand. I don't really trust organized religion in that regard either. But at the same time, I'm like, I do think that there's a voice that needs to be heard in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Like some people is all Martin, some people is all Malcolm. I feel like for me, I'm a mixture of the two. I'm a spiritual revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? So I might carry around an AR-15, but I still got a Bible with me too. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the combination of the two.
That's mad real. And then, you know, so and if you think about something like, from, let's say, like a journalistic perspective, like us, you know, we going into the election time and we're like, hey, here's a number of topics that really affect the urban communities, and not even the urban communities, but just like younger people in general. Obviously, it's this pandemic, it's racism, you know, which is even bigger than ever, and definitely jail reform. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of those things lead to jail reform. And I thought it was really dope, you know, like obviously all of us, you know what I'm saying, like being in, you know, who we are, like coming from these communities, like we can all relate and say we know somebody who's been in jail or et cetera and done things for them and the impact it's had on our life. And you yourself, like you've been doing like a lot of really, really dope things as far as like giving back to the jails, which I really appreciated, you know what I'm saying? And I thought that was really dope. And just really wanted to expound on that a little bit more. What you done, like you release music to guys in jail, you know what I'm saying? Who, if anybody knows you got a relative in who's been behind them bars, all you really care about is getting them music and getting them packages. You know what I'm saying? So that was dope. Where did that concept come from?
Man, so you know, the Bible says the first shall be last, the last shall be first. So I wanted to treat the people who was considered last first. And so my album released in prisons a week before it released on the streets, because I wanted, you know, a lot of times, this is my whole thing. When people look at folks of faith, they always say like, man, y'all talk it better than y'all walk it. So I'm just out here really trying to walk it. Like I'm really out here trying to be what I'm supposed to be. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm trying to like, you know, say, look, man, I'm serious about the inmates. I'm serious about folks who don't have. I'm serious about my community, and I really want to flesh that out. And I got lots of family members incarcerated. You know, my dad was in and out of prison. My cousins, my uncle, my cousin. You know, praise God, he just you know, he caught a charge, a pretty ugly charge, and they reduced the sentence dramatically. So I'm excited about that. And when you dealing with them, you just realize, man, like, yo, folks really forget you. Like they didn't turn their back on you, and they not even trying to. It's like you're not a human being anymore. Like I always call it people trash. Like it's the people dump, where they dump people from society, and then they like, yeah, y'all trash, and they, you know, it's like almost like there's no second chances. My whole album's about restoration. You know what I mean? And it's about there is a second chance. There is always another opportunity. And I've seen it time and time again. I'm a big fan of the Ear Hustle podcast, and you know, some of them dudes are the homies now, and I've seen them turn their whole situation around. You know what I mean? Like learning how to do stuff in San Quentin, you know, literacy classes, economics, writing, and their whole lifestyle has shifted, and people threw them away. I totally get that. I'm an underdog myself. So that's all it comes down to for me is they're the ultimate underdogs, and somebody got to show them love.
Walk us through the restoration process. Like, first, I would gather that the first step is actually knowing that you need to be restored in some capacity, recognizing what needs to be restored, and then where do you go from there?
Honestly, like if you can't be honest, you can't get help. So a lot of times we don't want to be honest, like especially like, you know, in our community, we struggle with that honesty. We struggle with saying we need help because we've been raised to believe like we tough. We're just tough this out. We figured out. And honestly, strength is admitting weakness. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a real form of strength, is admitting that you have a weakness so that you can staff that or get it adjusted. So for me to say, yo, I'm gonna just be 100. Like I'm addicted to painkillers. Like that's strength because I can admit it. And I admit that that's my weakness now. Now I can go talk to a specialist and own it. And then I can walk through the process. And walking through the process, a lot of it is really, I can tell you for me, is deconstructing. You got to deconstruct some of the ways you saw things and some of the views that you have. And then you reconstruct in a way that's helpful. You know, it's like, honestly, it's what you saw. Just using hip hop as an example, in the 70s in the Bronx, they took the instruments out of school, kids in the projects looking crazy. And so they could admit like, yo, we broke, yo, we poor, like we don't have instruments, we don't have the stuff. They can admit that, and then they can say, all right, so what are we gonna do now? We deconstruct, and then we're gonna reconstruct. We're gonna make a new art form, a new type of music, a new type of thing. And now they're restored. Like it's like what was broken and what was seen as nothing is now something beautiful and something special. And that's the caterpillar got to go through the cocoon to turn into a butterfly. So it's really just getting to the end of yourself, admitting that where you're wrong, and then moving forward and becoming something better than you were the first time around.
So how you furthering the cause, and you know, just the acknowledgement, dealing with you know, like jail reform and stuff like that. And I think you have something real dope that you about to do, like you know, something coming up within the systems. I got a little word from the great Jackie O. You know, let you tell about it.
September 11th, I'm doing a concert at St. Clair prison in Alabama. And
very dope.
You know, it's one of the few places that's even allowing people to do anything. It's obviously kind of a social distance situation, the way they have it set up. But I was real adamant about it. I was like, dog, I gotta get a show at the prisons. You know, when Anomaly came out a couple albums back, I went to Rikers, I went to LA County.
Oh wow.
I've been to Angola. I've been all over. You know, that's just something that I'm passionate about. So September 11th is you know, me getting an opportunity to perform at the prison and just bring some restoration. Those are the people who need it, because those are the people who, if you can hope, you can heal. If you have no hope, ain't no healing possible. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to present some hope to them folks, so to believe like, yo, this ain't the end. This ain't the end of your story. You know, this is a bad chapter, but it ain't the end of your story. And, you know, who knows how long, it's a process, but you know, there's no progress without process.
What was the significance of doing it? And I mean, I again, you know, tracing back to the roots, you know, a lot of the stuff that was going on right now in the world, you talk about racism and all across the states, like there was no other center of the universe that dealt with it even crazier back in the days in the 60s than Alabama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it really kind of like was rooted in there. Obviously came from Africa, but it was really rooted in there. A lot of black people just spiraled out and went their separate ways. A lot of went up north, etc. Was there any like what was the significance of you wanting to do this in Alabama?
Well, you got to think too, like, man, in a place like Alabama, Mississippi, there's a lot of people convicted, you know, falsely convicted or wrongly convicted, or like have charges put on them that are extensive and ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So it's people who are doing, you know, more time than they should be because of the way these systems are set up. Louisiana is another one of those states where it's just it's an unfair justice system where it's really like modern day slavery. And you know, for me, it's like I want to be able to inspire folks in that system and let them know we see them still. We see the injustices that are going on. We see that, you know, that they're still human beings, and that we care about them. And truth be told, you know, if the world shut down and there was all kinds of craziness going out here, or if there was a world war popping off and you got another country invading and all of the able-bodied individuals is getting slaughtered in America, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna open up them jail cells and do some training. Then them people gonna be valuable again. You know what I'm saying? So it's just letting them know how that they may be seen as slaves to the system, but they don't have to be that mentally, emotionally, or spiritually.
Incredible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really dope thing to go in there and do that. And you know, again, like I've never seen, you know, a time like this, like, you know, just again, like kind of in the note on the, you know, the whole jail reform situation. I've never seen a situation where like they've actually been like letting individuals out of jail, you know, like due to like some type of a world crisis, you know, which again goes to show how important it is. And then to have like, you know, it was for me like living in New York. I always heard about. I've been to one, but never really got to like really witness it. When artists have like went to like these facilities and they performed in front of the inmates, which, you know, you gotta understand like that shit means the world to them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that really like makes, like, I don't want to say it makes their day, like that shit probably makes their year, you know, to go and be able to see something that means a lot to them or whatever. So definitely commend you for that, my brother. You know, I think it's really dope that what you're doing on that front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I think one thing we gotta touch on, and you know, Lecrae doesn't directly have anything to do with you, but it was just such a big piece of Black culture that we lost is Chadwick Boseman passing away recently, man. You know, that joint just really hit me because I was like, damn, we lost the Black Mamba, now we losing the Black Panther, and this was a guy who was like just on a major level, I should say, a Black superhero for the kids to watch. And it's like, man, such a great actor, and you know, by all accounts, such a great person. Losing him.
Yeah. It's three things I think I learned from, you know, Chadwick's situation. One is that you never know what people are dealing with or battling or going through. And so be kind. You know what I'm saying? Like people was really unkind. So social media is the most unkind place where you almost like people hiding behind computers saying the most off kilter, off the wall stuff. And I think people wasn't kind to that man as he was battling a life-threatening issue, and they said whatever they wanted to come out their mouth, and you didn't know what he was actually battling with because it wasn't our business to know in the first place. So one is be kind to people. Two is that, you know, what you do behind the scenes is who you really are, and that shows the integrity of who you are as a person. Like he did a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't even know about, but he did it because that's who he was, not because he wanted the world to see it. You know, he paid for tuitions. He visited kids who were dying. He paid for different kids' situations while they was, you know, battling cancer. I mean, he was just a noble guy, and he did all that stuff when nobody was looking. That's who you really are. Is what you do when nobody's looking is who you really are. And then the third, I would say, man, is Chadwick taught me quiet strength, because how you making movies like memorizing lines, waking up, dealing with all of that pressure, all of the storm, all of the media, and battling colon cancer for 4 years. Like, that's quiet strength. That's the type of strength that's like, yo, man, like, we all going through stuff. You never know what somebody dealing with, but he battled it, and it's inspiring. Like, he's a real life Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a real life superhero for everything that he accomplished and everything he did while he was, you know, battling. So, man, my hat's off, salute to him. And I got some friends who he really helped out as well. And so I have a personal connection just seeing, like, knowing how authentic he was in real life. So
it's interesting you say, because we're in this weird culture or society time where it's like, oh, you didn't donate enough. You only donated this. You didn't do enough. But it also is this thing of, why do you have to know what I donated? Why do you have to know what I did? And that goes to what you're saying about Chadwick, is that, you know, and those became before him, is that my good deeds and everything I do don't need to be for a press moment. Don't need to be for everybody to have. And it's weird because it's like, we want to lash out and say, I didn't hear you didn't do anything, or only you did this. Well, maybe you did this and this, but we didn't hear about it. You know, but it's this kind of very weird time where we want all the information, yet the whole point of giving and doing stuff is not that press run, you know? And I think that people sometimes get that twisted, and we've seen, you know, we find out later the biggest good deeds are the ones that we didn't know about sometimes, you know?
big facts. If I'm being 100% honest, like, the only reason why I even wave the flag on some of the stuff I do is to create awareness so people can get involved in those particular things. Like, the other stuff that I'm like, there's nothing really they can do about this. Well, it ain't for them to know. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I mean, it's not for me to get a pat on the back. I want this to be who I really am, and not, you know, so you can think I'm something. You know what I mean? Think I'm something I'm not. So, yeah.
Was you working on this project like during this time, or was it like before this and then it led into it and you like went back and retooled it a little bit to reflect current situations that's been happening?
Nah, bro, it's crazy. Like, that's how it's like divine, being honest with you. I think, you know, people are always going to need healing, restoration. People are always going to need inspiration. It just so happened that this project was at a time where it was like needed in the utmost way. You know what I'm saying? So this was all a part of, you know, we honestly, so we went to Stanford to brainstorm this album, man, like over almost 2 years ago. Because I saw Beyonce's Homecoming and I was like, yo, she had a whole ecosystem. And we was like, all right, how do we build an ecosystem around restoration? Because I had seen, like, my man Steph Curry's wife get blasted online for not having a safe place to talk about her relationship. And I was like, that's foul. And I was like, let's create a safe place. And we worked backwards to create this project. And I'll never forget, like, I was like, bro, I can't manufacture something. I don't have you know what I'm saying? I don't have a thing like Beyonce dance or, you know, whatever. Like, I don't have nothing to manufacture. All I got is my real life. And it was like, perfect. Let's build around what you really do. Let's build around your real life. And my real life is being a part of the community, you know, the prisons, my own battles with anxiety or depression or substance abuse, whatever. Like, me not knowing my pops and meeting them for the first time. Like, let's just tell that story and create a world where people are like, yo, this is a safe place. He telling all this, so I'm free to talk about some of the stuff that I want to talk about. And so I just think that's the way where we are right now is, you know, we in a dark place in this world. And if nobody's willing to admit that and say, man, I found some hope, or I found something, or, you know, now's the time to share information and to share some keys and some tools. Everybody, we've been in this like hoarding and not sharing. You know what I mean? It's like, you found a good deal. Why you didn't tell me about the deal? You know what I mean? Well, because I didn't want everybody else getting in on it. Well, now's not the time. Everybody need a good deal in 2020. So
you got to show that love.
Yeah.
How are you supporting this album? Like, obviously, again, because of the times, it's just really impacted the traditional ways of how, you know, music is being consumed and impacted to the audience, etc. You know, I know you have the virtual performance and, you know, things like that. Like, what are some new endeavors that you're embarking on?
Yeah. So yeah, September 3rd, actually, we got the virtual performance with online. You can go to Lecrae.com. It's Set to Set live, where, you know, it's an online, it's a virtual, it's live. It's not pre-recorded. It's happening. I'm trying to interact with people online as I'm performing, taking some requests and just letting them know like I'm here with them in the moment. Hopefully I'll mess up so they know it's live. You know what I'm saying? They know it's real. You know what I mean? But so we doing that. Of course, you know, just engaging with my fans via my my number that I talk to them on, engaging with them on that. You know, I'm, you know, starting up a whole new situation where I'm taking like FaceTiming them and Zooming with them and just, you know, communicating. I'm doing stuff on YouTube, the YouTube channel, putting out visuals for every song we drop. You know what I mean? So a lot of those things, obviously, like, you know, I'm in a different space too. So I have the freedom to do stuff that a newer artist may not be able to do, or a lesser established artist may not be able to do. I'm an independent artist. I own my label. So for me, I was like, yo, the people need this album. Let's put it out. And, you know, I know over time it'll make money, but I'm not concerned with putting it out at the right time so that it makes the right amount. I'm more concerned with like people need it today. So let's put it out today. And you know, the rest is stuff we can put together and make sense of.
That's dope.
Sounds good, man. You know, congratulations on everything, man. We love to see you out there prosper, my brother.
Nah, man, I'm just glad to be able to do it, man. You know what I mean? Do it for the people. We in the music business, but the music business is people business. So if you take care of the people gonna take care of you. I learned that from the great Nipsey Hussle. You feel me? Took care of the people. You know what I mean? And that's why people loved him all over the world, because he was just taking care of people. You know what I'm saying? So
and you know, overall too, man, I gotta say again, just to go back to what I was saying earlier, you know, you're definitely a leader within the community, and your voice is definitely important. And it's even more important because you know, this is no knock. I'm not just saying this shit because we talking right now, but you know, you represent something much bigger, you know what I'm saying, than a lot of these other different artists. You know what I mean? Because of your scope and like the perspective of where you're coming from and touching like different masses, etc. You know, and then also too, like you said, you're independent. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit isn't easy. Like there's a lot of, let's be clear, there's a lot of people right now who's went independent. They've been forced to go independent to try to figure the shit out because their labels, their management, etc. They've turned their backs on them. Not their fault, but because they don't understand it either. They don't know the way out. And
right.
this is a model that you've been dealing with for some time now. You know what I'm saying? And people don't really understand like how, you know, that shit isn't easy. You know what I'm saying? Like running like an independent like outfit or whatever, like on your own. So and to be successful at it on top of that. So you know, again, like much salute to you. And you know, these kids right now, like they need to hear this stuff right now more than ever. I was reading something the other day when they was talking about like Nas's album that just came out, and like just the messages that he put out to really be impactful. Me and Shy and obviously V, like we always try to embark as much as possible to really inform the youth, you know what I'm saying, on what's going on, especially leading up to these next like 64 days, I believe it is, or whatever. And we point to you guys. We point to you guys and your messages and what you have, because that's all they really have. They don't turn on CNN and MSNBC or whatever and understand what that stuff is, but they'll listen to you guys' music. They'll look at your videos on social media and they really get to understand it. So got my full support as always, my brother. You're doing a great job.
Love, man. I appreciate y'all. And sincerely, just, you know, we in some interesting times, but, you know, like I remember just being a kid, like I'm a part of hip hop culture, and, you know, y'all was the voice of the culture. And so we now hip hop is like, it's so splintered. I don't think it's like has a central home or place, you know, like it once did, but it doesn't make the voices any less potent. We still need those voices to speak up. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if, you know, LL ain't the most, you know, the kids don't love him like they once did, he still has invaluable wisdom that he can keep passing on, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all just, you know, giving folks the platform and the opportunity.
No doubt. We appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on here. You're welcome anytime you want to let us know what you got, you know, in the works, and maybe come by and visit if we ever get back to normal with the press runs and all of that stuff. But much respect for everything you do, and good luck with it.
Yeah, appreciate y'all, man. That's love.
Much respect, my brother.
Thank you.